Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and at the end of 2020, of all things you're expected to deal with, now you have to deal with entitled, rich activists over 50 upset that there are no films about childbirth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask women a very pivotal question in this episode, and you're not gonna want to miss where this goes. We're gonna get controversial as hell, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Sunday, December 27th, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday, December 27th. We are here. We are watching the news. We are seeing what's going on. Obviously, all kinds of tensions since the bombing in Nashville. All kinds of different feelings going around. We're all kind of in this limbo period waiting for Trump to make a big move, though we are hearing of the thunder crackling behind the scenes. So I've been skimming around, looking through the different articles, seeing what's come to light, and I decided to do a fun little segment here and put together a couple of these bitchin' and moanin' entitled Hollywood elites, talk about them, and then show you something a little fun at the end that kind of makes things okay. So folks, I want to put our attention on actress Emma Thompson. And if you don't know who she is, because I really didn't know who she was at first, I decided to look her up. And when I read to you for a couple seconds here who she is, you're going to hate her even more. She already has that, look at that, like her pursed lips. She's like, look, looking down, like looking down her, looking down her nose at you. The pore section's that way. This is for us elites. Yeah, you see that? That's smug. She's basking in her own smug. Yeah, I know. I'm going to make fun of myself and have to hear it from everybody else. I don't care. It was funny. She's smug as hell, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that face. Let me tell you who she is. You're going to hate this. Look, Emma Thompson, Dame. You have to call her Dame. Dame Emma Thompson is a British actress, screenwriter, and activist. She's an author and a comedian. She's one of Britain's most acclaimed actresses and is the recipient of numerous accolades, including not one, two Academy Awards, a Primetime Emmy Award, 3 BAFTA Awards, and 2 Golden Globes. She's from Newnham College in Cambridge. She's an actress, a screenwriter, an activist, an author, and a comedian. And I'm sure she won't find this funny. And I really don't give a hell because she's pretty stupid. Listen to this. Actress Emma Thompson rips movies that make women be like men. Why are there no films about giving birth, for crying out loud? Well, as a father with multiple daughters, I have witnessed birth. From the visual side of birth, I've witnessed birth. A lot of women have, a lot of women haven't. A lot of women have given birth, a lot of women haven't. But I've watched birth. And I mean, it's a beautiful, miraculous thing on the one hand. I mean, it's amazing. How it's life, right? It's the gift of God, put into the flesh and come on into this world and yada, yada, yada. I get it. It's also terrifying. Are you a father? Are you a dad? Are you watching this? Are you a dad? Tell me birth isn't, tell me it's not terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I remember the first time I saw my first daughter coming out, and I saw like The Crown, but I thought because babies are so little, right? I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh, this is it. It's just a little, and then boom, the head popped out, and I was like, it was like the end of the, you remember the movie with Mel Gibson, Braveheart, when they're disemboweling him at the end, and he's like, freedom. It felt like the air was sucked out of my body when I first saw Birth. It was a monumental, life-changing experience. Maybe we don't put it on film because it's special and only certain people can really handle it, because it's definitely life-changing. So I'm not trying to offend women about Birth. I wanted to put that disclaimer out there, put a little funny at the end of it, kick it up a notch with a little funny. It probably wasn't funny at all, especially since I quoted Emeril Lagasse, and I don't know if he's dead or not, but I wanted to emphasize that I'm on your side, ladies, because I'm going to pose a question. With all of the cool movies out there, the Tomb Raider movies, and I don't know, like the what is it? The Resident Evil movies, all of like the different women, like with women just kicking ass, you know, Trinity and the Matrix, all these different women. I'm probably missing a bunch and you're all going to hate me for it. I don't care. Look, I don't know. What do you want me to say? The Marvelous Miss Maisel? That's a tough woman right there. All right. That's a pretty tough woman actor or actress, whatever. They're out there. All right. But she's complaining not only about this, but that after 50, women just kind of disappear. And we're going to get into that a little bit and have some fun with this. And some of you might love it. Some of you might hate it. But I really want to hear from the dads, moms, and women that are just out there being independent and doing their thing. Because I want to know whether you want to watch movies about birth and I don't know, the mop-up job after, or whether you want to watch a badass woman, you know, a badass just kicking the crap out of piece of shit dudes. I mean, those movies are great. There's like a ton of those movies out there. What's that? Columbiana? That was a pretty good one. I mean, they're out there, and apparently this activist wench doesn't like it. You're a wench. I think that's really bad in English. Like, you know, I'm speaking American here, but if I say you're a wench, like, does that have an extra added oomph? Like, if you're British and you're listening to this and watching this, don't get offended. Just tell me if calling somebody a wench there still holds weight, like maybe it did back in like 1492, like King Richard. Your wife's a wench, and then you get decapitated because it's 1492 or whatever. King Richard's probably from the 1200s or something. I'm just throwing dates out there because I'm ad-libbing this, guys. I don't have a script. It's coming right out of my head from the muse, straight to me, right to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start reading. This is by Paul Boise from the Daily Wire, December 27th. Academy Award-winning actress and screenwriter Emma Thompson criticized the prevailing trend in movies of making women act like men. Speaking on Culture Blast podcast, the former Love Actually star said that it's not good enough to simply give a woman a gun and have her act like a man, even going so far as to say that movies should utilize a woman's femininity as a source of... Do you like how I do that? Femininity as a source of her of her heroism. So, all the women screenwriters I talk to, I say, well, what's the story? Because it's not good enough to simply give the women the guns and then make the woman badass as well, said Thompson. Now women have to be badass. If they're feminine in the way that they used to be and they're not badass, they're not welcome. Also, they're not allowed to cry, apparently, anymore, because we have to be like the men. Look, I am a big, hairy, bald man, and I cry all the time. I probably cry. This is a bold statement. I probably cry more than Kevin Smith. If you don't know who Kevin Smith is, look it up. And if you do know, you're going to make fun of me for the next 30 years that I do this, because I'm not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Thompson said that screenwriters and directors need to explore the feminine to find the heroism inherent with it, such as giving birth. And I remember thinking, I'm sorry, I'm cracking myself up with this like proper British shrieking old lady accent I just came up with. And I remember it's actually, if you really want to know, and you're going to get a laugh out of this, I'm actually imitating Bon Scott, the original singer from AC/DC, when he did that big balls. So, you know, I've got big balls. Yes, I've got big. It's an old rock and roll song from like the I think it's like the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. So don't jump down my throat for singing that. But that's who I'm imitating. the original singer for AC/DC, and then I'm making it womanly, and then I'm calling it Emma Thompson. All right, so I remember thinking, well, that's not what we meant, the actress continued, when I got a group of women together in my 30s, and I said, okay, what's the female heroine? Who is that? What does she do? Because she hasn't got the wherewithal to do the Superman, to do the Godfather. That's not the point. That's not where our heroism lies. So how do we make it heroic? I don't know about you, but Wonder Woman's pretty badass. And, that Gal Gadot, or whatever, I don't know how to say her name, the Israeli lady that's like a badass actress, she's pretty good in that. I mean, Sofia Vergara, she's a pretty badass actress. You know who I'm talking. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Don't lie. If your wife is sitting next to you, don't you dare lie. Don't you? She'll catch you later. She'll catch you later, and she won't look at you for a week. You know how it rolls, gentlemen. All right? I'm married. I know how it goes. You know how it goes. Don't lie. Just take the punishment up front. It won't last very long if you just tell the truth, gentlemen. You know who Sofia Vergara is. And I remember thinking, well, that's not what we meant. The actress continued, okay, we read that, The Godfather, Superman, blah, 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 blah. How do we make it heroic? Why are there no films about giving birth, for crying out loud, she added. Does anyone even know about that? No, it's all hidden. All our heroism is hidden because what we've done is we've just given women the same parts as men, and that's not the point. How do we turn into our own lives and make these stories heroic? You know what I hear? I hear a bunch of bitching and moaning. I feel like she's one of those old school feminists who was fighting in the movement, and then they won. The feminists won that. You guys got what you wanted. You have equality, full-on equality in parts. And then they were like, this isn't enough. We want more control. And then they kept doing the feminism thing. And then the feminism thing became the we want more rights thing. We want to get the treatment of a woman that's in need, but at the same time, an independent woman that doesn't need a man or need anything else. You can't have both sides of the cookie, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. The fortune cookie or the black and white cookie or whatever kind of cookie we're talking about. All right. You get a half of a cookie. That's the rule. All right. I screwed the analogy up. We're making a new damn analogy. 1/2 of a cookie. No more than a half a cookie. You're on the damn keto diet or something, ladies and gentlemen. Low sugar, half a cookie. And on 1/2 of that cookie, that's you get the sympathy or the empathy or the help, the understanding that women and men are biologically different and that women and men sometimes play different roles. Not that they're not interchangeable, not that there's not special and different men and women that fulfill both sides of this coin, and not that you can't strive to be what you want, but this is just genetics. It's biology, right? You get that. Or you get to have all of this. You get the full equality plus, all those roles and everything. You can't have both sides of the cake. I'm probably saying this wrong. I probably sound like an idiot. But if you try to understand what I'm saying, look a little bit past it. It's ridiculous. It's totally hypocritic. It's like saying, I want to go golfing, but I also hate golf. I want a cheese pizza, but I'm not going to eat the cheese pizza because cheese pizzas are for assholes. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. You wanted it, you got it. Now you don't want it anymore. But actually, you want it, but you want something else. I think that most women think this is bullshit. And if you're a woman and think this is bullshit, I want to hear from you. I want you to leave a comment and say, hell yeah, I'm a strong, independent woman and I can play the role of a badass. I can be a mom. I can be, a badass at my profession. I can be a badass in the gym, a badass against men. I can be equal because I am equal and women are. And if you are that, I want to hear from you. I want you to give the shout out in the comments. But the other side of that is a bunch of pathetic people that think that it needs to be that feminist women dominate the view of all women, right? And that if a real woman with real views, real independence, who can still be a mom, still do what she has to do, still be feminine, but still be a badass, and not complain about it, not bitch and moan about it? You know, it just, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but it just pisses me off. It really does piss me off. We're going to go, I had this kind of planned out, but we're going to go off script in my head script for 2 seconds here. Because I've met so many women in my travels, in my professions, and most of them don't identify with this. I've met maybe a handful of women my entire life, out of probably the thousands of women that I've met. A handful that believe in this garbage that Emma Thompson is peddling. Real women know how to play any role they want to play. Plain and simple. Real women know who runs the show. Plain and simple. And I'm not talking men. Us good domesticated husbands here, we know that women run the show. They don't have to virtue signal it like this old cadre wench. It's absolutely crazy. It really is. All right. Now that we got my epic rant out of the way, which I probably lost track of what I was saying halfway through anyway, let's keep reading, all right? Thompson believed the problem could be solved if there were more women writers and women directors. And hey, if you got the chops, do it. In the same interview, Thompson also lamented how Hollywood often forgets about women once they pass the age of 50. Oh, now I get it. You were once really, really famous. Now you're not as famous. Nobody gives a crap anymore. You've tried all these other things. They're not really working for you. And now you're going to bitch and moan about how it's not fair that you're getting old. Hey, I got news for you, honey. I got news for you. Oh, I'm going to take so much shit for saying honey, but that's okay. I got news for you. I'm getting old too. See all that white hair coming in? We're all getting old. We all have a meeting with the Reaper at some point, lady. So I can't help you with that one. Going back to some of the roles that were offered to you, I remember you saying it somewhere that after Nanny McPhee, you were getting these roles to play Bradley Cooper's mother and then play Mother Teresa. Playing Mother Teresa would put a tin lid on your career. I mean, you're a woman in your 50s and you're asked to play a woman who, I guess she was in her 80s when we lost her. Okay. Wow. Let's look at Emma Thompson again. I see the Mother Teresa in her. Come on. Anyway, look, in the same interview, there's the Mother Teresa one. All right. What does that say about the misogyny and the ageism? It just says you're getting older and we have different roles that we play as we age. I used to be the young, dumb, drunk guy chasing women. Then I became like the young professional, the lost traveler, the sailor. I mean, you wear all these roles as you get older. Now I'm a father. Now I mentor people. I still have mentors of myself, of my own, that help guide me. I mean, you grow, you get older, and you take these different positions in life. That's the story of mankind. Oh, wait, she's going to jump down my throat for just calling it mankind. Excuse me. It says exactly what it says. You get past 50 and you're invisible, she said. But it's very interesting. This woman I'm about to play, one of the things that she says to this young man, he says, "You're perfectly attractive. Why can't you find another chap?" And she says, "Because the only people willing to sleep with me are people my age, and I don't want to sleep with them. I want to sleep with somebody younger than me." Oh, so like the roles that she's playing actually reflect how she feels. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to get vulgar, but I think what Emma Thompson is saying, and if you have any young children, please tell them to leave the room, and if you're offended easily, I'm about to put my sailor cap on when I say this, but I think Emma Thompson's problem is that she's tired of old man penis. I think that's what she's saying. Look, it says when you get past 50 that her characters are all upset because they can't sleep with younger men, and all these complaints that she has about getting cast as an older woman. Look, we get older. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. It's the same thing for men. All right. There's some assholes out there and there's some asshole women out there. What can I tell you? Such is life. You know, with 350 plus million people in this country, you're bound to have some differences. That's an understatement, ain't it? Crap. Look, now I've never heard a woman say that on screen, she continued. It's completely acceptable for George Clooney, who is delightful, as you say, to have someone who's 40 years younger than him. I don't know if that's okay or not. I lived in the Philippines for a while. There's a lot of folks out there that are 80, 90 years old with 20, 30-year-old wives. And you know, and they know, they're not in love. It's an arrangement. People are taking care of each other. So I don't know. I'm not in that boat. My wife's a year older than me. I don't know what to tell you. But George Clooney apparently is Emma Thompson's model. And speaking of George Clooney, let's take a look at the type of person that George Clooney is. We're not going to read a lot of articles. We're not even going to read any articles. We're just going to read some titles. We're going to do what everybody likes to do. We're going to take 5 seconds and look at the clickbait. George Clooney on the Midnight Sky and Donald Trump. He's an authority on Donald Trump. He talks about Trump. George Clooney mocks Yutz Ted Cruz for being loyal to Trump, even after Trump called his wife ugly and accused his dad of killing Kennedy. More of this propaganda that George Clooney's at the middle of. There's the same thing. George Clooney calls Trump a charismatic carnival barker. Why George Clooney wants his apocalyptic drama to have hope at the end. Look at this smug asshole. Thinking that he knows what you want. Thinking that he knows how you live. From his castle. From his mansion for the last 40 years of his career. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Really? You really believe what this... Look, he probably has 3 people that he pays $50 an hour to groom his face, his beard, and his hair. He probably rubs chinchilla powder on his ass. Whatever rich people do. All right? I don't live in that world. You don't live in that world. I guarantee you there's no rich people listening to this show. That's probably why I don't have any sponsors. So we get to say and do whatever the hell we want, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this a-hole. Hollywood liberal George Clooney slams carnival barker Trump. George Clooney recalls dumb goofball Trump bothering celebs and leering at waitresses. George Clooney muses about regret. Look at that face. He's looking up in the air oh, let me zoom in for you. Look at this. It's so pretentious. Look. I'm George Clooney. I want redemption. Mismanagement. Oh, Trump is ruining everything. Oh, the knuckleheads. Ridiculous. George Clooney remembers Donald Trump as the guy hitting on the cocktail waitresses. How do you know that somebody's not just being nice? Why is it always hitting on a waitress? Why, when I hold the door for somebody at a 24-hour fitness once upon a time, do they look at me and say, I don't need a man to do that? And then I get discouraged for 6 months and I'm not nice to anybody. Oh, wait, never mind. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about George Clooney. Listen. They're all just talking crap. George Clooney goes off on anti-maskers amid the coronavirus. Put an effing mask on. Let's look at this one for a second, since I wanted to do this section really fun and just pick one off the fly. George Clooney goes off on anti-maskers, those evil, evil anti-maskers amid coronavirus. Put on a fucking mask. That's what it says there. And I'm sorry for cursing, but George Clooney just pisses me off. This thought where everyone is like, well, it's my freedom. It's like, that's not how this shit works, dumbass. Yeah, it is how it works. We get freedom. You're not our overlord, George Clooney. And I'm sorry that I'm pointing at this guy, John Huber. And I might as well just say it. He was a pro wrestling star who just died at 41 years old. He went under the name Brody Lee. People really liked him. So rest in peace. No disrespect meant to him. This is just the ad that came up. I just felt weird not saying something about it with his face staring right at me. George Clooney is at his wit's end when it comes to mitigating the transmission of the coronavirus and is calling for anti-maskers to get with the program. The Midnight Sky star and director made his stance clear on Wednesday when he appeared on SiriusXM's Howard Stern show. Howard Stern still has a show? I thought he went to Lefty Heaven by now. He explained his views regarding current public health mandates and the percentage of those who detract from the guidelines. This thought where everyone's like, well, it's my freedom. It's like, that's not how this shit works, dumbass. Clooney, 59, fumed. The host, Howard Stern, according to The Hill. Your freedom is this. You're free to smoke until your lungs turn black, but you can't do it on the bus. And you're free to drink until your liver comes out of your ass, but you can't drink and get behind the wheel of a car. The Oscar winner pressed that in the current state. You know, a lot of his brethren and sistren, I think that's a word, sistren, brothers and sisters, we'll just call it that. They have a lot of DUIs, I'm just saying, floating around Hollywood. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, George Clooney. God, I want to slap the shit out of you. Look at that smug face. All of his pictures. There's no picture up here, but down here, look at that face. Just whack. Oh, you just want to slap him. This is, I don't even want to read this one anymore. I don't even want to read it. It's just pissing me off. It's probably pissing you off if it's pissing me off. You know what I want to get to? I want to get to something good. I want to let you know that there are plenty out there that feel completely different, all right? That aren't part of this ruling elite class, that have a lot of money, that do good things, and are on our side for this fight against this evil, smug, self-fart-sniffing left-wing ideology. Seriously. And who am I talking about? Well, of course I'm talking about good old Uncle Ted. Oh, yeah, that's right. Ted Nugent, ladies and gentlemen. I want to watch this little clip with you because I think it's going to raise your spirits. So when it feels like you're all alone and you have no friend in sight, don't worry because our good old friend Ted Nugent has our backs in a fight. I just made that up off the top of my head. I thought it was funny. But what I want you to see is that the Motor City Madman, for as crazy as people say he is and think he is, he has a beautiful outlook on things. First off, he knows that BLM is a terrorist organization. He knows that Antifa is a terrorist organization. He understands that the Democrats that are following them, the young people, the old people alike, they're mindless zombies, brainwashed, either too stupid to know or bought in to the Kool-Aid or just horrifying liars themselves. And he breaks it down real quick. It's fun stuff. It's good stuff. It's stuff you need to hear. It's stuff we all agree with. And, maybe if we had a little more of Ted Nugent's perspective on life, maybe if we bitched and moaned a little less, maybe if we complained a little less, maybe if we were a little more loving, a little more caring, a little more knowledgeable, maybe if we were a little more in touch with happiness, our path, our destiny, the thing we were put on earth to do. Maybe if we weren't enslaved in our offices to our desk chairs and in our cubicles. Maybe if we were to find happiness, we would understand. And for those of us that do understand, you know that what is coming out of this man's mouth is pure gospel, ladies and gentlemen, pure gospel. So without further ado, let's have a watch.
On this special holiday edition of America This Week, United We Stand, I've been chatting with the Motor City Madman, Ted Nugent. Ted, I love hearing that Star Spangled Banner. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the country. I only have a couple minutes left in this amazing show. Glad you're here. You see them kneeling when that song is being played. You see them disrespecting the flag that's on my chest and probably on your arm. What does that do to Ted Nugent?
Well, it makes me identify those people as being real soulless, real stupid. They don't even know what they're doing. I mean, they claim that somebody's hands were up and they got shot. That's a lie. I know the situation. I've studied those situations. Nobody's hands were up and nobody got shot. So the entire premise of that so-called protest is based on a lie. And they can't be that stupid. They know it's a lie. They're just liars. So when you see someone disrespecting our flag, they don't deserve any respect themselves, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
What's Ted Nugent's, what's your next gig? You're a rocker, you love hunting. I know she said you were a police officer for a while, or are. You going to run for office? You want to do something elected capacity?
You know, my responsibility is we the people, Eric. You've seen me exercise that with much aplomb over the years because I know that those elected employees are not elected officials. We are the electing officials. They are the elected employees. And
Amen.
more and more Americans are waking up, getting out of the self-inflicted curse of apathy, and we're demanding constitutional accountability. We see the fraud. We see the deceit. We see the outright criminality from the left. And I think the conservative families of America who are demanding God, family, country, and law and order, we are now waking up. The giant is waking up, and we're going to demand accountability. And I see it coming, Eric.
All right, well, here, just sprinkling a little bit more. Can we hear a little stormtrooping? Can we hear that?
Yes, what a
All right,
great.
we'll
what a
leave
great
this
love
on for
song.
this
All
real
my
quick,
songs
just
are
because
love
it's
songs.
amazing
You
to
know,
watch Ted Nugent play
what a
guitar.
great-
Look how happy he is. Are you that happy? It's a very important question to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe Ted isn't as crazy as people like to claim he is, because what he just said is what we stand for here at the American Reveille. This is about waking people up. This is about people understanding their destinies, their place in all this. This is about people holding government officials accountable, holding people accountable to the Constitution, making sure that the fraud is seen, making sure that the irregularities are revealed, making sure that the foreign interference and the foreign connections are unveiled, making sure that more and more Americans wake up. Wake up. We've we've strayed. That's the word I'm looking for. We've strayed away from the founder's vision of the Constitution and how this country is supposed to run. And we are all in charge of fighting our way back to that vision. And it goes well beyond our President Donald Trump. Well beyond. This is a big fight. It's a big fight. As Mr. Ted Nugent has to say, the left, they know, because they're liars. We have two very big, different ideologies, very big, different viewpoints, very big, different understandings of the Constitution and how this country should be now and in the future to come. We have to win. We have to win. Or this vision, this beautiful thing that we love called the United States of America, this dream will forever become a communist asset. You know it, and I know it, ladies and gentlemen. You know that Hollywood is bought and sold. You know that the Democrats and a lot of the rhinos are bought and sold. You know that big tech is bought and sold. You know social media bought and sold. Thank God we have people like the Motor City Madman on our side. At least that man can fund some of the things that are going on, some of the good movements that are happening. And we know that Ted Nugent is an ally on our side. George Clooney is an insane person, and Emma Thompson loves the smell of her own dirty laundry and is sad because she's just not hearing about it anymore from her dwindling fan base. You know what these people are? They're not activists. They're not revolutionaries. They're not heroes. They are rich assholes. There are good assholes. I'm not blanketing that all rich people are bad, or good rich people. I mean good assholes. It's kind of weird. Anyway, there are good rich people out there, plenty of them. What I'm talking about is these like rich coastal elite, tyrannical, puppeteering type, Soros type figures out there. All right? They're tyrants. They're tyrants. They don't know. They don't know you. They want to rule you. That's why they're trying to destroy the middle class. So don't pay attention to them. All right. Let's laugh at them. Let's make fun of them. That's why I brought you this different type of episode today. I know that I do a lot of news and current events and different things like that, but I wanted to give you some celebrity stuff, some stuff that might piss you off, bring some emotion up in you, might make you laugh a little bit, might make you feel a passion deep in your belly, make you feel a part of this history, a part of this destiny, and then understand where we are going, what we are fighting against, and that we are not alone, ladies and gentlemen. So let's say F you to the Hollywood assholes, the Hollywood elite, the coastal elite, the celebrities, and let's embrace freedom together. Sorry, my throat's kind of going out. So do me a favor, guys. Do me a favor before I go and nurse my throat and drink some tea. Hopefully not that whatever tea that Game of Thrones producer drank. I don't want any of that tea. But let's really quick, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Rumble, do that for me. Leave a comment. It helps massage the algorithm and more people get to see us. We are cut off a lot. So do me a favor. Make sure you spread this podcast around. Word of mouth. The American Reveille Movement, American Reveille Podcast. We are working it out, getting it through. And all of this awesome growth is because of you. God, my throat is starting to itch. Excuse me. I don't know what is happening, and I'm not even going to cut this out. Folks, do me another favor. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, a 5-star rating. Leave me a 5-star rating. Leave a review. That moves us up the rankings, and more patriots get to see what we are doing, get to wake up and become part of the American Reveille movement. With that, do me a favor, visit the website, www.americanreveille.com, REVEILLE. Check out what we got to offer on there. We have articles, we have videos, podcasts, the whole shebang. You can contact me, get a hold of me for anything, leave a message, tell me what you need, give me some feedback, whatever you want. So this was a really fun video to do. As you could tell, I'm losing the rest of this. I'm going to have to get some lozenges down in me, so please don't judge me by my performance here. Holy crap. So I'll see you. I got one more video coming out tonight. We'll see how I get through that one. And then we got a podcast coming out tomorrow morning, the 50th episode of the American Reveille Podcast. All right, folks. See you later. Bye.